In 2018, workers pulled a 19-ton mass of solidified grease from beneath the streets of Detroit. The bill to remove it, over $100,000. It started the same way you probably started this morning. Someone poured something down a drain. There are 7 everyday substances that can silently destroy your pipes, poison waterways, and leave you facing thousands in repairs. The first one is sitting in your kitchen right now. Hot grease seems harmless as it slips down the drain, but the illusion ends as soon as it hits the cold pipe walls. Almost instantly, that liquid turns into a sticky film, clinging to every bend and joint. Each time more oil or fat goes down, another layer builds up. Over weeks and months, these layers fuse into a thick, rubbery plug. In Detroit, this habit created a 19-ton fatberg so dense it took 3 days, handsaws, and vacuum trucks to cut it apart. The city paid $100,000 just to remove it. John Miller, a master plumber, calls grease the silent assassin of residential piping. Even a spoonful a week can add up to a disaster. For homeowners, the impact is personal. Clearing a grease clog costs anywhere from $300 to $1,600. If the blockage cracks a main line, repairs can skyrocket to $10,000 or more. What looks like a shortcut in the kitchen can quietly become a nightmare beneath your feet. And the bill doesn't just hit cities, it lands right at your door. Coffee grounds seem harmless, even natural, just the byproduct of a morning routine. But once they hit the drain, the story changes. Unlike liquids, coffee grounds don't dissolve. They settle and clump, sticking together like wet sand. Over time, each rinse adds another gritty layer, forming a dense sediment that hugs the inside of the pipe. Even if you run plenty of water, those tiny particles resist the flow, wedging themselves into bends and traps. What starts as a thin coating can quickly become a stubborn plug, especially when mixed with soap or leftover grease. Clearing a coffee-clogged drain isn't a simple fix. Most homeowners end up calling a plumber for hydrojetting, a high-pressure blast that scours the pipe clean. The typical bill lands between $150 and $500, all for a habit that felt routine. Coffee grounds are best kept out of the drain entirely. Compost them, toss them in the trash, but don't let them become the reason for your next costly service call. A bottle of chemical drain cleaner promises instant results for $8, but the reaction it triggers inside your pipes is anything but harmless. The active ingredient, sodium hydroxide, meets aluminum and water, unleashing a burst of heat that can reach nearly 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hot enough to soften PVC, warp metal joints, and degrade the rubber gaskets that keep your plumbing sealed. Instead of melting away a clog, this exothermic surge can quietly eat through pipe walls, leaving behind thin, brittle segments primed for a catastrophic burst. When a homeowner in Austin tried to clear a stubborn sink with repeated doses of Drano, the end result was a $4,800 bill to replace 30 feet of ruined pipe. Nationwide, repairs tied to chemical corrosion often land between $2,000 and $5,000, costs that insurance rarely covers. Linda Koch, a representative of the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association, puts it bluntly: chemical drain cleaners were marketed as quick fixes, but they weaken pipe walls, turning a minor clog into a catastrophic pipe burst. The promise of a cheap, easy fix can quietly set the stage for a plumbing disaster that is far more expensive than any bottle on the shelf. Starchy foods like rice, pasta, and flour may disappear quickly with a splash of water, but the real trouble starts after they vanish from sight. Once inside the pipes, these starches soak up moisture and swell, turning into a sticky, glue-like paste. Unlike grease, which hardens into a solid plug, starches morph into a thick, expanding mass that clings to every rough edge and joint. Picture dough slowly filling a pipe, squeezing out every bit of open space. Even small amounts can combine with grease or coffee sediment, locking everything into a dense blockage that resists plungers and home remedies. Hydrojetting, a high-pressure water blast, often becomes the only solution, with service calls running between $150 and $600. For one Ohio family, a 4-foot wall of pasta paste took 8 hours to clear, and their insurance company refused to cover $8,000 in water damage, citing homeowner negligence. A handful of leftover noodles or a cup of flour might seem harmless, but once they hit the drain, they can quietly build the foundation for the next expensive emergency. Eggshells might look harmless as they swirl into the garbage disposal, but the reality is far from innocent. Once inside, those brittle fragments grind into a gritty paste. Instead of breaking down, the sharp edges and calcium dust jam themselves between the spinning blades and the motor. The result? A disposal that rattles, groans, and sometimes stops working altogether. According to Mayor Reuter, plumbers across the country responded to 3,200 calls last year for eggshell-related jams. The average repair bill lands at $226, but that's just the beginning. In about 15% of cases, the damage is so severe that the entire disposal unit needs to be replaced, costing anywhere from $850 to $1,200. Homeowners often describe a kitchen that suddenly reeks of rotten eggs, with a machine that spits and sputters but refuses to clear. What seemed like a clever way to get rid of breakfast leftovers can quietly turn into a costly, smelly, and completely avoidable repair. Latex paint, varnish, and mineral spirits may seem like they'll vanish with a quick rinse down the sink, but the fallout is anything but invisible. When paint or solvents enter a household drain, especially in homes with septic systems, the chemicals don't just wash away. They infiltrate the septic tank, where they poison the bacteria needed to break down waste. The chain reaction unfolds underground, out of sight, until the soil above the leach field turns gray and sour, and the air fills with a sharp chemical odor. In central Iowa, one homeowner poured 5 gallons of leftover paint and mineral spirits down the drain. Within months, the septic system collapsed. The repair bill came to $12,700 for a full tank replacement, plus $2,300 fine for illegal, hazardous waste disposal. Mark Bishop of the EPA warns, paint solvents don't just disrupt your plumbing, they seep into groundwater and stay there. For a few minutes of convenience, the price can reach $15,000 or more, not counting the environmental harm or the risk of contaminating local wells. Pouring paint or solvents down the drain is more than a plumbing mistake. It's a legal and financial disaster waiting to happen. Unused medications seem to vanish with a flush, but the fallout ripples far beyond the bathroom. A 2023 U.S. Geological Survey revealed that 80% of American streams now carry trace amounts of pharmaceutical drugs, over 4,000 different compounds from antibiotics to hormones and painkillers. These chemicals slip past water treatment plants, seeping into rivers and lakes where they disrupt entire ecosystems. Fish exposed to even low doses show stunted growth, hormone imbalances, and reproductive failures. According to Dr. Sarah Nguyen, an environmental scientist at the University of Michigan, even trace pharmaceuticals in water can act as endocrine disruptors in fish, causing population declines and genetic changes. The public health impact doesn't end in the wild. Utilities are forced to upgrade treatment systems, driving up water bills by 12 to 18% in some regions. What begins as a simple act of disposal can quietly raise costs for entire communities and threaten the safety of drinking water. Flushing unused meds is more than a personal shortcut. It's a nationwide contamination. A simple monthly habit can keep all 7 hazards at bay. No harsh chemicals, no expensive gadgets, just 2 items from the pantry. Pour half a cup of baking soda down the drain, followed by half a cup of white vinegar. Let the fizzing reaction do its work for about 15 minutes before flushing with hot water. Over 6 months, Chicago plumber Mike Rossi ran this routine on one kitchen sink, leaving a second as a control. The treated pipe showed no mineral buildup, and when measured, water flowed through it 8% faster than the untreated line. The cost? Less than 30 cents a month, about $3 a year, even at retail prices. There is no risk of pipe damage or septic trouble at this dosage, and both ingredients break down into harmless byproducts. While this won't dissolve a major clog, it is a proven way to keep pipes clear and avoid the repair bills that come from neglect. Sometimes prevention really is the best fix. Right now, a single careless pour can cost thousands or contaminate water for an entire community. What seems trivial at the sink can spark environmental and financial disaster. The next decision you make at your drain isn't just about plumbing, it's about protecting your home and our future. Stay vigilant.